We have seen the images and heard the stories of just how much one firefighter can impact a community. That is, of course, Jason Arno. And if you've had to call 911 for help with a fire, you know the impact at a personal level. In New York, the majority of calls are handled by volunteer firefighters. Over 90% of all fire departments have volunteers. That's about 80,000 volunteers across the state. Those numbers coming from the Firefighters Association of the state of New York. They released a study today showing the impact these volunteers have on emergency calls and on the budget, saving taxpayers $4.7 billion each year.
The latest economic impact report underscores the importance and value of volunteer firefighting within New York State. Without the dedication and service of over 80,000 brave volunteers throughout the state, local taxpayers would face significant financial burdens to fund this type of emergency response that they are accustomed to.
Interesting information, and joining us live is John D'Alessandro. He is the secretary of the Firefighters Association of the state of New York. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
This is an interesting study. What do our viewers need to know, especially if they live in a city or town with only volunteer fire service? What's being done to recruit volunteer firefighters?
Well, one of the most important reasons that we commissioned this study was to give sort of a baseline economic impact and then relate that to an unfortunate situation that we have in New York, which is over the last 25 years, we've seen a significant decline in the number of volunteer firefighters. Back in the early 2000s, there were about 120,000 volunteer firefighters. Today, we're down to around 80,000. So when we talk to government leaders, when we talk to community groups, and we try to come up with sort of incentives to recruit new members and to retain existing members, we wanted to have this economic comparison. And you can see from the results of the report that a small investment in New York's volunteer fire service turns around billions of dollars in return.
I assume that's why it was so important to do this study now. Would you agree?
It was. Unfortunately, the situation of declining numbers is continuing to go in the wrong direction, and it's getting worse at a very rapid rate. So we need to try to come up with innovative things. We need many tools in the toolbox to try to get people to join the volunteer fire service.
There was a proposal in the state budget to spend $10 million in hopes to get more volunteers with stipends and more training. Is this the type of action that you want to see, and what else are you hoping comes from this research?
That proposal in the state budget process to establish a training stipend is exactly one of the creative, out-of-the-box things that we need to be doing. Governor Hochul has been a long-time supporter of the volunteer fire service, and we're very happy that now as governor, she's trying to move that forward in very actionable proposals. But that alone is not going to solve the problem. It's a very complex problem why people are not volunteering, and it's going to take a very complex solution, of which incentives like the training stipend is certainly an important part.
We mentioned Jason Arno, the Buffalo firefighter that was killed in a fire on March 1st in the city. This is a stark reminder of the dangers of the job. We all know that. What would you say to someone who wants to volunteer, but maybe they have some reservations? And also, what is being done to retain the volunteer firefighters that you already have?
Well, first, everyone needs to understand that the results of this study are not a commentary on how we provide fire and emergency response. The structure of that response in New York is comprised of equally important parts of volunteer firefighters and career firefighters. The loss of Jason Arno strikes all of us deeply, purely as firefighters. But it is an inherently dangerous pursuit. But everybody needs to understand, and frankly, this is one of the reasons we did a couple of focus groups a few years back. And one of the reasons was, look, it's not me. I'm the person kind of running away. I'm not the person running towards the danger. And, you know, we try to reassure people, while it is a dangerous pursuit, we do not run willy-nilly into danger. We rely on our training, our equipment, and our leadership to minimize the potential of something going wrong. But you know, the reality is that sometimes things do go wrong. Sometimes firefighters do lose their lives. You know, I would say to anyone interested in becoming a volunteer firefighter, there's a risk associated with it, but the reward that you get in being able to serve your community when they need them far outweighs any risk that there might be.
John D'Alessandro, thank you for joining us, and you're right about that, because what volunteer firefighters and firefighters as a whole do to save the community really makes a difference. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that you are the secretary for the Firefighters Association of the State of New York. Again, thanks for joining us tonight.
Be safe.